Hey, BL here with BL Trails and Tales, and man, it's been a little bit. We got a lot going on this week and the last couple of weeks, and in the news and whatnot, and I just wanted to discuss that with you and see if I get a little bit of feedback, a little bit of comment about what in the world's going on in the world and our nation. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff going on, I guess. The Charlie Kirk deal uh, obviously was sad, but yet the impact that he's had through his death is more than his impact would have had probably when he was alive. So it's a blessing in disguise for having that, I guess. And President Trump has honored him, and all across the nation of those outreaches have sprung up all across the nation, and so it's just basically exploded. There'll be another, won't be another Charlie Kirk, but there will be thousands like him, and so that's a huge blessing. And I just kind of wanted to start with that, then we'll go into some other political deal. I mean, this is what, October 15th, and we're into, I don't know, a long time into the government shutdown, and which is really stupid, but it's politics, and that's what politicians do. And I just remember I thought it was so disingenuous and humorous or hypocritical that President Trump posted that meme on social media or whatever he's got there, uh, with the Democratic leaders in sombreros, and oh my word, the liberal media and everybody just was raised. Oh, that was terrible. They raised up arms and that, and it was just terrible, and that Trump would do such a thing and make an evil meme like that and whatnot. And well, it kind of hit me as humorous, and I didn't know whether they were in who should be insulted? Should it be the Mexicans because the politicians are where they're at, or was it the politicians insulted because they were called Mexicans? And so that is kind of an interesting situation right there, and nobody discusses that, but it just comes to my mind because I got a simple mind. But I thought that was interesting. Who's insulted more, the Mexicans because of the politicians, or the politicians because they got Mexican hats on? Anyway, but and then you go back to that, and they're all upset about that. Okay, I mean it's Trump, it's what he does, and as far as that goes, it for most people you could probably consider it kind of humorous, right? Certainly not meant maliciously or evil or anything like that. Uh, but you can go back just a couple of years, and that comedian lady, um, she was holding up a cut off head of Donald Trump, all bloody, and here it is, and so the hypocrisy there is kind of astounding, because the liberal media didn't say anything about that. I mean, holding up a cut off head of the president of the United States was fine, and that was supposed to be comical. But the sombreros was uh, totally out of context, I guess. Just they couldn't handle that. But anyway, so that's kind of how politics are played. Now we got the stupid shutdown, and I mean, you get both sides, obviously, but uh, the fact is, I mean, the Republicans they and the Democrats, they passed a clean CR, continued resolution, to keep the government open, and they've done that time and time and time and time and time again. Both parties, when they can't agree on something, and the deadline's coming up, they pass that so they can go ahead and do their little spills for the next 3 weeks or whatever it is before they actually have another vote on it. And sometimes maybe it's due, and they need to hash out some different agreements and whatnot, and so it probably works some of the time, not like it was probably meant to, but at times I think it does help bring a resolution out. But this time it's just dumb. I mean, it's just plain politics. I mean, the Democrats are getting up there and yelling and screaming, that the Republicans shut down the government. Well, no, that's a lie. I mean, oh, and that's what upsets me so much about the politicians and the media. Uh, they seem to be able to lie at will without being held accountable for it. I mean, serious. I mean, it's disgusting. And when are we going to get back to somewhere where we can hold them accountable? Because obviously, I mean, the Speaker Johnson, he got up there and every day, you know, the Republicans every single day, you know, we bring up to a vote and we vote to continue the government, open the government with the CR. And every time they're not getting the votes because they don't have enough votes if they don't get, what is it, 5 or 6 Democrats in order to vote for it. So they have to have 60 and they can't get that. So it's not the Republicans. The Republicans are voting every day to try and keep it open, but the Democrats are saying, that it's a Republican shutdown and they're gone and they're not even around, and we Democrats, we're working at it, just hand and foot. We're trying to protect the American people. We're trying to protect healthcare. We're trying to protect the military spending, so the military families can get theirs and the whole bit. And no, they're not. It's just a blatant lie. Most people can see straight through. Well, no, I don't think most people. Well, I'll take that back. I just don't know how many people, but because I don't know if I got a lot of faith in American people, but they did vote Trump in, and I think they're backing him, and so that's good. So I got to give them credit for that, and so sometimes that thing all works out. Uh, yeah. But to claim that, when they get up there in front of the television, in front of the news reporters, and claim it's all, if the Republicans would just come to the table, we'd be able to do this, and it's a Republican shutdown because they won't come to the table. Well, they can't come to the table because of your demands, and it's $1 trillion worth of spending to keep the government open for about another 2 weeks, and that's not going to work. No one in their right mind would be voting for that, and I hope the Republicans got backbone enough to stand up to that, saying no. I mean, we've been voting every day to keep the government open, but we're not going to be held, blackmail like that and say, hey, we gotta have all this funding for all these other port projects that are actually supposed to be discussed, while the government's open. So I just find that all disingenuous, and I just when politicians get up and lie like that. I'd like to treat him as a terrorist, actually. I mean, you talk about the peace deal that Trump got brokered, and bless his soul, that was a major achievement to get that much done. But yet the people that he's dealing with on the Hamas side they're not honest people, and they're not truthful people. They want to lie, and they want to kill you, basically, wipe you off the face of the earth. And so with that in their mindset, we're never going to get a peace deal. I think Trump did his very best in order to try and do that. And Israel, bless their heart, I mean, they released like over 1,000 prisoners, to get back, 40 some people that were held hostage, and they wanted to return the dead bodies too. And and now that deadline's passed for about 2 days now. They haven't, the Hamas has not fulfilled their commitment to that agreement. And so what do you think should happen? Uh, I know what would happen if Biden was in office, or nothing would happen. I know what would happen if I was in office. I'd tell you what would happen if I was in office. But having said that, I think President Trump, I mean, he kind of laid that out today, what I saw in the news, that Hamas is kind of in violation and they need to go ahead and release all the bodies that they promised to do and fulfill their part of the agreement and disarm. And if they don't, he said, well, if you don't disarm, we'll disarm you. Now, I don't think that's a threat. I think that's a promise. And I think that's that type of promise uh, is what makes America strong. I think that's what allows us to have um, authority in the world as far as being able to negotiate peace deals like that. The Ukraine-Russian deal should never have happened. It would never have happened if Trump was in office. I mean, they had all them tanks lined up right there on the border of Ukraine. I mean, there was miles of them out there, all lined up, and Biden and the UN allowed that to come across, and that was a failure on their part, and it just cost hundreds of thousands of lives and total destruction of a lot of property, especially in Ukraine. And I think that if Trump had been there, I know if I'm going to be president one day. All right. Anyway, when they lined up out there and they're all in a line, and I mean they look like they're going to invade, a country, right? Invade the country. This is a sovereign country, and they're going to invade them. And I just say no, you're not. I don't know what your deal is, what the problem is, what stick is up your butt, but let's talk about this because you're not going to invade them. You're not coming across that border. You step one tank sticks its little barrel across that border, and we'll carpet bomb your whole damn deal. You know, we will take it all out. You're not going to be allowed to do that. You're not it into subject. We're negotiate. What's the problem? Let's talk about that, and maybe we can come to some kind of resolution. But no, you can't come across the border and military like that and try and take over another country. But Biden was weak, and the UN is worthless. I think that maybe they're coming around just a little bit now because they see that the error of their ways, and I think maybe. But that's the only way that you get any peace. And I mean, and we do a lot of work with horses and dogs. Of course, you know that. You see that on the other part of the videos, not the podcast, but you go to the other part of the channel and you can see those working with horses and round pen reasoning and mindset of animals. And it doesn't matter a horse or a dog or a person, they respect authority, and they respect boundaries. And as long as you have authority and boundaries, everybody, is comfortable. Nobody has to think outside the box and think that they're going to do something bad because they know what the consequences are. And so you can go back into that and see some of the round pen reasoning, on some of those videos and whatnot. But I think, if you want to cure our situation with the politicians and the stupid people in California, oh my word, now they're going to give relief or of course they're obstructing ICE, which is a government agency which is trying to remove illegals, and obviously they're trying to get the worst of the worst out. But if you're caught up in a sweep in some warehouse and you're illegal, I mean you're illegal. That's all, and so you're caught up and you're going to go back home too. Just same as with the worst criminal. sorry for your case, but you shouldn't have been here illegal. You know, there's ways to do that. And there was a lot of people that came across the border and did it legally. And there's ways to do that. And you avoided them. You came across the illegal. So, no, I don't feel sorry for you. I don't. I don't feel sorry for you. I don't feel sorry for your family. No. You're illegal. You get caught, you go home. I go across Mexico, or I go to Europe, I go over to Canada, and I'm there without, and my visa's expired, and I'm there illegally or whatever, they arrest you. You know, what do? They arrest you. They either throw you in jail for a while, or they deport you back to your country. So no, it's kind of a universal deal, and so no, I don't feel sorry for you. Everybody knows it. But anyway, I'll get back to all the lies that politicians talk about all the time. I mean, just lie after lie after lie, and I'd really like to bring back public dueling. I would too, because you know, if you're a senator there, and another senator, you know, gets on TV and makes a blatant lie about you, then just call him out. Say, hey, you know, hey Peter, you come on over here. You know, you just lied about me, and I'm going to give you a butt kicking. You know, and you either apologize or that's what you're going to get. I think it would solve a lot of stuff. I really do. It works with dogs. It works with horses. It works with people too. If you're going to do something that is that offensive, I mean, you can say something about me and say, oh, you know, my hair is not blonde, it's gray, or whatever. All right, no big deal, you know. But if you're going to say, you know, if you're going to make a lie about my position on something, or about my family or whatnot, no, that's total offense. And it's like, let's go to the park. You know, we're going to go get this done. We'll duke it out, you know, and then maybe you whip my butt, you know, and that's okay, because at least I'll get some licks in, and I'll defend my honor. But if not, then I'm going to beat you to a bloody pulp, and you're not probably going to tell that lie about me again, and you're probably not going to tell, you know, your buddies that are doing the same thing. They might think a little bit different about, you know, what their words are, and having to back those things up, because there's no accountability, you know, there just isn't. And that's what's lacking in our government and in the discourse, the communication we have between the parties and the media is the truth. And when you're caught in that lie, that need to have some kind of a consequence for that. So you leave me a comment. You tell me what you think about it. That's my opinion. I've been doing a lot of things through the week, and got a lot of, well, for the last couple of weeks, had tons on my mind. I got good and bad news for my, you know, I've ridden a lot of horses, and I've skied, and I've worked, and I've worn out my knees, and so anyway, I've had them x-rayed twice, and I guess that they're going to replace them. So anyway, that'll be another story. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Share it with your friends if you like. I appreciate you.